Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, an interesting issue came up that I've heard for many, many years, and that's the infamous Bible codes. And of course, you can get a numerology listing of so many different things and turn it into fake meanings. And certainly, we can't find a more bogus text than any religious text, regardless of whom produces it, whether it's from the Jewish people, the Muslims, the Christians, Buddha, whatever it is. These texts are really hollow and have never produced any decent societies. Even certain philosophical systems that you get out of China. Confucianism, which was supposed to be a way of living through honor and proper lives. Well, we can see how that produced out of China. And people, of course, rejected that as they rejected Confucius when he came out and went to communism. And as we look at anything infected by the human race and any so-called holy book, there are problems. And the good old Bible is certainly one of them. Just the word Bible doesn't make sense. How that is pronounced with an I, by, when the proper English pronunciation would not be like that. So I don't quite understand that right from the beginning. I think that really should tell us what kind of a piece of trash this is. And all religious books are pieces of trash. Have done nothing. And let's remember that religion can go back as, well, let's be conservative here. But Judaism claims probably 4,000 years, about maybe 6 for Buddhism. So we just don't know. But, it's certainly not that long ago. But if we want to rank religions, it's Judaism 4, Buddhism 5 or 6, Christianity 2, Islam 1,500. So I think that's important as well because there's a time consideration here. And Islam is using all the things from the Christian Bible to somehow convince you that's your path. But first and foremost of all of this is that when you talk to or know anybody who is religious from any religion, I find they're all very stupid. They're stupid. Just the fact of blind faith, because that's all these tests are. They're just faith. Faith is an illusion you live in. Faith is a self-created matrix. And I've never known a religious person that was smart. Well, they have a little bit of knowledge or whatever. And of course, we can look at the world and say that religion has certainly not kept people on a moralistic path, not even a path that you would consider bright. Meaning the fact of, maybe we shouldn't destroy the earth and murder other people. Let's leave each other alone. Well, none of that has happened. So not only are these books impotent and worthless, they create violence and death. As we can see all around the world, most religions are spurred by, most wars are spurred by religion. You can look at that right today. And this has been the case for hundreds of years. Now, I recently ran into the Bible codes yet again by an ignorant, buffoonish man named David Smith, who runs Lightwave health products, which is a little band-aid you put on yourself, which is supposed to transform your life and heal you from all sorts of things. But they're non-transdermal, meaning nothing is being exchanged. It's just air. And this person who has a degree supposedly in some sort of pseudo management thing, it's just a ridiculous degree I've never even heard of, and supposedly a minor in biology. Well, I guess that school Pace, the college he went to in Upper New York, taught him well, as they produced another buffoonish idiot who claims that Bible codes are the secrets to his everything he knows, and that the Bible codes hold everything, and that the Bible itself is 100% true. Well, how can you believe anybody that talks such diarrhea mouth as that? It couldn't be more of an ignorant statement. Now, none of these books, which all tend to be the same and are all copied from previous cultures, just like the Bible is, the bottom line is that all these stories of floods and people having immaculate conceptions and being born on the winter solstice go through every single religion of that time and previous. Every culture has flood stories. So it certainly isn't anything new. Immaculate conceptions, ain't new. Rising from the dead, ain't new. So, I mean, these things actually go back thousands of years before what was written by Jesus the Christ. And as I tell people, Christ is not Jesus's last name. The Christ is a high level person. You could change that out with the Buddha. Buddha is a title. You reach Buddha level. So, this is what is very important to understand as well. These stories go back thousands of years. They're mished and moshed and changed by societies to make them fit whatever's going on. There's certainly, we don't even know what happened in the Vietnam War 30, 40 years ago. All information is messed up and contrived and stirred into a big vat of poo, stinking to high heaven. We just have no idea, and there's no way of finding truth. Now, if you want to believe in these silly little documents, that is up to you. If you think there's some sort of moralistic thing that you didn't know that you shouldn't murder and beat and rape people, and you have to have a book that tells you that, the 600 commandments that there is in the Bible, there certainly is more than 10, but Christians really couldn't get past 10. Most Christians can't even tell you the 10 commandments. Anyway, and certainly this was probably true in ancient times. Christianity was linked to human sacrifice, and it's been written about in Egyptian texts as Christian cults were sacrificing people. So all of these things, after all, isn't that what Jesus did? He sacrificed himself. Wouldn't you imitate that? Yeah, that's just the kind of God form I want. Someone who's dead. I prefer somebody who's alive and helping me, not some dead monkey on a stick. And of course, all of that's a fantasy. There is no history of anybody being crucified on a type of cross that we see. Now, there may be an X that people were crucified on. Certainly the Romans did that. They got that from the Persians, as they got the Persians, the Iranians, otherwise known as the Aryans. That's where all that came from, including impaling and other things. We can thank them for that. So all of this was part of the reality that is out there. So, I mean, it's a big mishmash of nonsense. And certainly hasn't done anybody for anybody. 2,000 years of that belief system is ridiculous. But this goofball, David Schmidt, which ought to tell you a lot just by his name and the kind of corrupt kind of person he is, thinks that his science, which he has degrees in supposedly, I would like the proof of all that stuff as well, in some sort of pseudo-management and then some sort of biology. I don't know if that was his minor or what. And then he claims to be a person with hundreds of patents and worked for the military-industrial complex and designed submarine. The guy's not an engineer. What are they taking this manager and he's designing submarines and inventing items? All this doesn't make up much sense whatsoever, but neither does anything else coming out of this person. The Lightwave patches are really pathetic, and their main spokesman was Suzanne Summers, who died last year of cancer and has been using those patches for years and apparently certainly didn't work in her case. But this is the kind of stuff you get out of there. And he's surrounded by toys of Iron Man saying that the Bible codes, whatever those are, numbers in the Bible that someone has contrived to mean something, does a bunch of stuff. That's the science behind this guy with his very bizarre corporate associates that are involved in his company. And, go out there and look at all this stuff. It's just kind of weird. But to have a guy of a company who claims he's a scientist breaking through all this advanced technologies, to believe in mythology from a document that has been changed thousands of times in its short history of a couple of thousand years, is frightening and ignorant. That's really just blows my mind. And of course, I had someone when I had my retail store, one of the first people that came into my shop, of course, was one of these nutball Christians asking me where I went to church. And I said, "Why did you see a sign on here that said this was a church? Where I go to church is none of your business if I go at all." Wanted to talk to me about the Bible codes. And I said, "I've heard all this nonsense before." And he wanted to present to people in my organ. I said, "I wouldn't show this to anybody. This is complete nonsense, and I have no use for you people. Get out of my store." So the whole idea is that's the reality that you run into, and they're all corrupt, evil people. They support the criminal police, fire, and military that do absolutely nothing but enslave the police. They're more than happy, as the cowardice, bend over Christians that they are, that always give in. And of course, it says it in your book, turn the other cheek. Was that really it? If you look at the original Greek, it said bend over and spread the cheeks. That's what it really said. And of course, that's your typical Christian. And there's evil to the core. I think what is more evil than the evilest, people who are demon worshiping and Satanists, I don't think they even come close to your average Christian. So we have to understand this kind of, but to have a scientist come out and say something like this, who is selling this garbage product that this person has, who's trying to act like he's had studies done by a bunch of rigged people, as far as I can see, that so-called did these studies. They're never any big labs or important universities. They're all done by Harry Monkey Man, who proves claims as their business. But how appalling is that? To blend in a silly mythology that you can take particularly number codes and make them say anything. I mean, we have this going back in all of science. Newton, of course, did this. Our little buddy Newton, who invented a whole bunch of numbers, saying that this was the laws of nature. And what did he do after doing that? Well, he invented calculus to explain the fraud that he perpetrated by his system. So he needed to invent a new math to explain his theories. You think there's something wrong with that? Why didn't regular math explain it? Well, regular math didn't explain it because it's garbage. So it's made up, contrived nonsense. And of course, that's what we get in. So the next time you need something special, make sure you go to the guy who worships Iron Man with endless little figurines and toys around him, who uses the Bible codes to sell you what I consider personally to be totally invalid so-called well-being or even healing products, which their main spokesman is a dead woman from cancer. Yep. Doesn't it all add up? Well, it does to me. And if people continue to support stupidity like this, your only journey is going to be from here into hell. So I would get ready and, kind of condition yourself to be in a hot, stinky, crappy place with that guy next to you. Until next time.